Hello, my name is Melissa Daniels, and this is Strabismus to Stereopsis. And on this channel, we talk all about strabismus, which is when your eyes are not pointing in the same direction, and different strategies on how to make your eyes work together and become straight and get that brain working with both eyes. Today, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite exercises called Peripheral Saccades. Before jumping into that, I wanted to make sure you know you can go over to learn.strabismussolutions.com to get access to a lot of different resources that I offer. Everything from a free quiz that can help you know where you should start on your own journey to scheduling a Zoom call with me or taking one of my courses. In 2018, my eye was severely turned out, and through vision therapy and surgery, I was able to get my eyes aligned and working together. And through the vision therapy process, I've learned that anytime I could take an exercise and apply it into my daily life, that helped me get that long-term result. And one of my favorite things that I learned to do is peripheral saccades, and I can apply this to so many different areas of my life. So the basic idea of this exercise is that you're looking at one object. So maybe I'm looking at my gigantic water bottle, and then at the same time, I can see out of the corner of my eye my camera, and I switch my eyes. So you're looking at one object, see something else peripherally, watch it peripherally, and then move your eyes to that peripheral object. And then you see something else peripherally, and you move your eyes to that object. And the reason that this is so important is we all are moving our eyes all the time, right? We're saccading. Saccading is when you jump your eyes from one object to another. So all day long, we're saccading. We're moving our eyes, and like thousands and thousands and thousands of times a day. And if this is how we are seeing the world, is we're just like moving around trying to find all the little details in the world, we're not always very efficient if we're not using our periphery, because we might think we're jumping and then have to adjust and okay, now we're here, right? And so then you add in all these extra saccades because you're not being accurate with your eye movement. So when you include your periphery with this and make it a peripheral saccade, that means that you are looking at something. I'm looking here at my mic, and I am looking peripherally at my water bottle, and I can move right to it without any hesitation, without having to zero in on it. It goes immediately. This is something that takes a lot of practice, and it doesn't necessarily happen naturally. And so it's really important, because the more we can use our periphery, the more efficient we're going to be with our eye movements. So this is going to help, that you don't get so tired, and you can keep this stamina going while you're doing your daily tasks. You're not getting so tired at the end of the day from all this like misjudgment, right? Also with strabismus, in your periphery is where you're able to use both of your eyes together. And so it's helping engage both eyes in that blurry periphery. So we find something clear, we make it clear, central, it's clear. And then there's all this blurry stuff in the outsides. We move our eyes to the blurry stuff. Then that becomes clear when we look at it and give our attention to it, and so on and so forth. So the idea is getting our brain used to using our periphery to guide action, to decide when we're going to move those eyeballs. You may have been assigned this as a home activity if you are in vision therapy. If you're not in vision therapy and you want to be, quick thing, you can go over to strabismussolutions.com/findvt or click the link in the description, and I'll help you find an office. And that's a free service that I offer just to help people find vision therapy, because it's so important to work in an office. But you may have been assigned this basic activity. I think a lot of people get this activity. Look at the yellow pen. Look at red, yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow. That's hard to do for myself, okay? So you're just moving your eyes back and forth. And you can totally do this activity in that way, right? You're just sitting at the desk, you're super focused on it, you're looking at yellow but aware peripherally of red, and then moving, and you keep your peripheral including both pens at all times, and then you're switching your central focus, okay? But I always like to apply it into daily life. So I'm going to give you a few ways that I do this every day, and I'm constantly practicing this, keeping my peripheral open. So first is when I'm having a conversation with somebody, and especially if I'm, in a group setting where there's lots of people talking, and I, because if you start doing exercises during conversations, you might not pay as good of attention to that conversation, right? But like in a group setting, and people are switching, and this person's talking, then that person's talking, right? So I will look at the person that's talking and peripherally be aware of the other people in the room. And then someone else starts talking, and then I find that person peripherally first, and then I move my eyes. Without, I try not to move my head too much. Sometimes you have to move a little bit, right? So this happens all the time. Or if I'm at church and we got somebody standing up front talking, and then someone's singing, and it's the same thing. I'm like, okay, I'm looking there with my central vision. Can I find other things peripherally, even just someone in front of me, and then jump my eyes there? So I find it peripherally, then move my eyes. So lots of times people's heads, all the time. Yeah, in conversation, in meetings, wherever, I'm always doing that. Okay, another example is when I'm going for a walk. I try to go for a walk every night. And this is great because I'm moving through space, and doing this while you're moving can be really, like, it's a kind of a higher level. And so it's a great time to practice is when you're on just a nice slow walk. So I will look at a mailbox, and I'm watching the mailbox, and then peripherally I find a street light, and then I jump my eyes to the street light. And then peripherally I find a truck, and then I move my eyes to the truck, right? So I'm kind of like walking my eyes down the road ahead of me and switching, finding different objects and looking at them. So again, I'm learning to control where my eyes are and using my periphery to make that an efficient movement. Another one is while I'm driving. Driving is a great time to be really aware of your periphery because it's going to help you be a safer driver. And especially if you have strabismus and your depth perception isn't at 100%, which mine is not. Mine, I made a lot of progress with vision therapy and the surgery, but I didn't get to 100%. And so I still have to, learn these skills that are going to help me be a safe driver. So this looks like me, I'm looking at the stoplight and it's red, and then I'm moving my eyes to a car or to a stop sign, wherever, you're changing your focus a lot when you're driving, but the more you can be aware of your periphery and kind of see the big picture and move your eyes within that peripheral zone, then it's going to be more efficient. You're going to be more aware of what's going on. So a lot of times I'll do this when I'm stopped at a light because I don't want to practice in a situation where I'm not going to be safe. So stopped at a light, looking at the light, and I notice a car. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to find the car peripherally, look at it. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the light, see if it's green. Okay, I'm finding it peripherally. Now I come back. All right, now I'm going to look back at the car, right? So I'm constantly switching back and forth. And I do this more when I'm the passenger, not necessarily when I'm driving, because I do want to learn to be more aware of my periphery when I'm driving, but I want to focus on the driving, not an exercise. So I will officially say, don't do this while you're the driver. Do it while you're the passenger. Or when you're stopped at a stop sign or something like that. And that can really help. You can apply this to anything that you are ever doing, whether it's playing a sport or cleaning house. But be intentional about moving your eyes. And as you're intentional, you're going to help improve your periphery because it gives your brain something. You're telling your brain, look for the periphery. Look for what's outside. Look for what's blurry in that periphery and be aware of it. And that's going to give your brain so much more information about where to point, and it's going to make those movements more efficient. I know I keep saying that, but it's so true. So give it a try and let me know in the comments how it goes for you. If you have any questions, go ahead and throw them down there, and then I'll put links in the description for different the peripheral course and finding his vision therapy office. So check that out, and we will see you in the next video.